I've been using MacBooks for 5 years, but now I can finally switch to a Linux laptop because I found something that actually meets my standards. I could be using a ThinkPad, but generally those are really slow. And what I found now is the Framework laptop. Framework is a company that creates laptops that you can keep for 10 plus years because you can actually replace the parts. And I freaking love this about them. So I just received this. I'm super excited. And we're going to unpack it now. I'm going to configure the whole thing, and I'm going to install it as a stateless workstation. So let's go. But before we dive in, I want to mention that I am not affiliated or sponsored by Framework. They don't know me. I don't know them. But if you're watching this Framework, send me a message. All right. So what I've ordered is a Framework laptop. I got the maximum spec that's available at the moment, which will be shown in the screen. I included that with a 4 terabyte WD Black SSD drive. And the RAM should also be included in this box. So let's see if I actually got the parts that I ordered. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this for weeks. Finally, I'll be able to escape big tech. Right, here comes the big reveal. What do we have in the box? Ooh. Look how nice that looks. God. So this is the bezel. So it's like you can see, I'm not getting a laptop in a box. I'm getting a kit. It's the bezel. It's the input cover. And here is the laptop. Look how nice that is. 13-inch, super small. Feels solid. Okay, what else do we got in the box? Yeah, so you can get these pre-assembled, but I chose, of course, to go the do-it-yourself route. And this way you get all of the parts and you just have to assemble it yourself. But what's really cool about this is that you can actually buy these expansion cards, and I'll be getting back to this later, but you can literally decide what you want to have on your laptop, and you can swap those out as your needs change. I chose to buy an Ethernet adapter because sometimes I want to have to link up without Wi-Fi, but I can just remove that and add a USB-C slot. So that's amazing. Power adapter, the memory, 64 gigs of memory. Here is what looks like maybe a bit of a toolkit or something, and some standard documentation and manuals. And that was it. Those are the contents of the box. Cool. So, where do we start? Oh, I'm so excited. So there's 2 types of people in the world. There's people who will directly attack a device and get after it, or you have those who read the manual first. And I very, very strongly belong in the second camp. I always look at the manual first. So here we have some stickers. Really like these. Look what it says. You should be able to fix your stuff. And that's exactly why I bought this laptop. A MacBook, first of all, you have to pay $1,500 fucking dollars to get 1 terabyte of storage. And secondly, if something happens to a MacBook, you cannot do anything about it. You can try sending it to Mac and they will fix it if they're feeling like it, but you have no control over your device. You cannot order a spare part. This literally is a set of parts that you have to assemble together. And you should be able to fix your stuff, the right to repair. And this is why I chose this brand. Right, loving it already. Okay, so it has a code here, scan to get started. So I'm just gonna pull that up just to see what it says. All right, so getting started with your Framework Laptop 13. It's just a standard guide. All right, so the guide contains a complete guide step by step to install the laptop, and it shows you how to install the SSD and how to insert the memory, etc. So that is what I'm just going to be following that as I go along. So first, let's check out what's in here. All right, that's a lot of cardboard for just a screwdriver. Nothing else. Okay, Okay, so they do deliver a tool together with it. And then the next step is open the laptop as pictured and you'll find a clear protective cover. This can be simply lifted off and set aside. Let's open this up. There we go. So really loving the feel of it, the size of it too. I bought the 13-inch. I have been using a 16-inch MacBook for the longest time, but this feels a lot more portable and nicer. And one of the reasons why I went for a more portable one is because I'm planning to drive around in my camper van for many months a year. And then I want to have something that I can always bring with me when I'm leaving the camper, or that just fits into my backpack. And this should fit that bill nicely. So opening the laptop now. So here we see, this is just the bare bones device that you get. So it does not have a bezel. It is a screen and a place where I can put the rest of the components. And of course it contains the main board with the CPU, the fan and everything. Up next, we're going to install the memory. So removing this cover now. So here's the storage. I love that this whole thing has QR codes available everywhere on the actual device. So if I would ever run into problems, I could actually scan those. So I suppose that this is then the thing covering the memory. Yeah, okay. So there are black mylar sheets covering the memory slots. These can be gently bent up to insert your modules. Okay, so I should not be removing those, I just insert them. Okay, so I'm not sure if I should leave this sticker on actually. Let's see, does it show in the video? Oh yeah, in the video they leave the sticker on. So I will just do that too. Looks like they just simply insert it like this. Hold on here. All right. So you insert it and then you push down, it seems. There we go. That's the first memory slot inserted. Let's open the next one. Right, here's the second memory brick. There we go. The next step in the guide is to install the SSD. So I treated myself to 4 terabytes, and I believe this contains 2 slots to install SSDs. I only ordered 1 for now, and I will expand later. Oh wait, no, that was actually the desktop. I actually ordered a framework desktop as well. That one had 2 slots. I think this one only has 1 slot. So don't quote me on that. So to install the disk, I will just watch the video that they give us. So they tell you to unscrew, remove the screw, insert it, push it down, and then screw in the screw again. So that's what we'll do. Here's my 4 terabytes of storage. Let's insert it like this. Okay. So it's supposed to stand up a little bit like that. And then I push it down and screw in the screw. That is the storage installed. What is the next step in the guide? Install the new input cover. So the input cover is then, in other words, the keyboard. Let's open that up. And I'm pretty specific about keyboards, so I'm very, very curious how this one is gonna feel and perform. Ooh, that looks nice though. Right, here it is. Looks nice. I like the little framework logo super key there. So let's check out what the guide says about installing this. Okay, so I'm instructed to place it down like this. Then we connect the touchpad cable. So that is this cable that needs to go in here. And again, note how everything has QR codes. So you can tell that this product is designed to be opened, to be replaced, to know exactly what each part is, even if you're not very well versed in computers. And like, give me a workstation, a normal desktop, and I will find my way. But laptop technology is new to me. So I would never be able to like open up a ThinkPad and just know exactly what everything does. And here it even has all of the QR codes to all of the documentation. Like so far, this is just super smooth and I love what I'm seeing here. Okay, so this cable is inserted. Now it's instructing me to make sure that this side is properly inserted. It looks pretty good to me, so I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. But again, it repeats before closing up the laptop, make sure that the touchpad end of the touchpad cable is fully inserted in the receptacle. But it looks like it, so. So then I simply have to put the keyboard on top, and it says that it has magnetic covers. Oh yeah, you can actually, it sort of sucks itself into place. That is really nice. Okay, so it says, note that the input cover will not sit entirely flat. Yeah, so I'm noticing a little bit of a gap on the side, but now it's just using the magnetic covers. But it's saying, note that it will not sit entirely flat until the bottom fasteners are tightened. So apparently I will have to tighten them from the bottom as well. Next, we will install the bezel. So my whole branding is around orange, and I was considering to buy an orange bezel, but I decided against it because I just wanted to have the nice black workspace where I can focus properly and not have any distracting colors. But you can personalize it with your own colors if you want, or get a transparent one. And that's the cool thing. I ordered this bezel, but if I change my mind or I literally want to change it up a bit, I can order a new one and just put that into place. Okay, so here's the bezel. Well, that seems easy. Okay. So literally just, this also seems to have magnetic. All right, there it is. That was really easy, and also will be very easy to swap out. But as I'm seeing it now, I'm actually happy that I went for the black one. Looks like it has closed off properly. Like I don't want any gaps here because dust can come in. Close the laptop and place it upside down. So here are those fasteners we were talking about earlier. So if I fasten these, then it should close down all nicely. So it says make sure not to over tighten them. And I was actually going to over tighten them. So glad I'm reading that manual. Now I'm just doing an inspection. Yeah, so now it has closed up nicely and there are no gaps around the side here, because I was seeing a lot of gaps while I just had the magnetic covers on. Cool. Now it says get ready to turn it on. So now it's actually asking me to insert the expansion cards. So this is one of the most exciting things about the framework, I think, is that it has these expansion cards. You can literally just decide what you want to have and also change your mind later. Like, how cool is that? So I went for 2 USB-Cs, an HDMI, a USB-A, and an Ethernet expansion card. Right now, I'm going to go for the HDMI and the USBs, but I could just as easily go for 4 USB-Cs if I don't need the A and I don't need an HDMI, right? So let's install those. Super easy. Cool, so those are now installed, and I'm assuming if I want to remove them, I just press this. Yeah, that's how easy it is. Nice. Truly modular laptop. All right, and that's it. So this is the completed build. It looks, it feels, it's pretty heavy. I would say it's about as heavy as my MacBook Pro 16-inch. So it is definitely more of a unit than that one, but it also feels like quality. You really get a solid feel when you hold this laptop. When I open it now, and I'm not powering it up yet, but I'm just gonna see how it feels. Yeah, this definitely feels like a premium product, like a machine that is built to last. Keyboard feels super smooth. I'm actually very surprised about that. Let's see if you can hear that. The keyboard feels premium. It feels nice, has a nice tactile feel to it. I like the sound. Feels like the MacBook keyboards, they have a more clicky feel. And this is a lot smoother. So I prefer this actually. Feels really good. And yeah, so it looks beautiful, super clean. I like the framework details here with the logo here. Now let's connect the power adapter, a USB stick, and get some Linux on this puppy. But before we continue, about 73% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So please subscribe right now. It really helps me put out more honest content like this every single week. All right, continuing our setup of the framework laptop. I have my USB stick containing Fedora Atomic Cosmic. And I have a bootstrapping USB stick that contains some, like an SSH key and everything that I need to bootstrap my laptop. So I have not powered this on at all. This is literally the first time I'm doing this. So we'll see how this goes. Entering my USB here. Power on. A light appears on the keyboard. I don't see anything happening on my screen. Not even a BIOS or anything. Here we go. Now I see the framework. Install Fedora. And here we go. Here's our Fedora installer. So I'm just going to follow the graphical installer. I'm going to select English. I got to say this screen and the frame rate, it feels butter smooth already. So this is looking very promising. Keyboard is English US. I'm going to point this to the disk. And of course, I'm going to encrypt my data. Save that. I will provision a root account for myself, but I won't allow root SSH login because I'm not a peasant. All right. Set up my network. Select my MikroTik router. Nice. I'm connected to the internet. Language support, time and date. Let's configure the NTP server. And let's begin the installation. So what's happening now it's creating a Lux container on the disk. So all of my data is going to be encrypted. And you will, when you steal my laptop, you will need that encryption password in order to get any access to my data. And this is really important. And as you saw, this was not a default setting. I don't understand why these installers don't make you encrypt your stuff. This should be the default setting, but that is how you properly set up a laptop. You encrypt your drive so that you are sure that whenever it gets stolen or someone gets access to it, it's impossible to get access to your data. So as it's installing, I am now hearing some fan noise, and this is it is obviously doing some heavy operations now with writing a lot of objects and installing this. And I gotta say, I am pretty sensitive to fan noise, and I hate it when my machines make noise, but it's a pretty pleasant sound. It's not this high whirring sound that my Minis forum makes. I can hear it blowing, but it's not a very unpleasant sound. Cool, the installation is finished. Let's reboot the system. Take out the drive. And now I should be able to log into my first look at the proper operating system installed on the framework. All right, it booted up properly. Now I just have to enter my encryption password. This screen looks really good. Wow. It looks better than my MacBook screen. So here we go. Here we have the Cosmic welcome screen. Nice. Oh, this looks really good. Look at that. The touchpad works super smooth. Like, this is like MacBook quality. I was not expecting it to be this good. But if you've ever used a ThinkPad, then everything is good, but it's just not, it doesn't have that Mac feel. But this framework laptop does have it. I'm very surprised by that. I was actually thinking I would go down a notch in quality, but it doesn't feel like that at all. US English, US English, dark mode. There we go. Finish. Cool. So the first thing I'll do is I'm gonna set the automatic mode to tiled and tile my current workspace. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is take my little bootstrap USB and enter that. I want to automatically hide the dock. So let's see, dock, and automatically hide that. And while we're at it, I will also just change the appearance, accent color to orange. All right, this is the way I like it. Cool, so this is a complete basic deployment of Fedora Cosmic, Fedora Atomic with the Cosmic spin. And it doesn't have anything installed on it yet, obviously. But we do have the Cosmic terminal. And if I now lsblk, now we see that my NVMe drive has 3 partitions, the EFI, the boot, and then the third partition that contains my Lux container. And here I see my USB, my bootstrap USB. So sudo mount dev sda1 in mount, cd mount. Okay, so this contains a few SSH keys and then and a bit of a document. So I'll do make dir home. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit. You probably can't see a damn thing. Make dir home workstation bootstrap, and then cp everything in here to home workstation bootstrap. All right. Now all of that is now available on my disk, so I don't need the USB stick anymore. So I can just remove that. So the goal of the stateless workstation is for me to be up and running within 10 minutes. So let's see how quickly I could get this puppy going with my own personal configuration. So first I'm gonna open up Firefox, because I should have internet now. And let's do Fedora Silver Blue. and open up the user guide for the Silverblue distro. And I'm not using Silverblue here, but I'm just using those docs. Silverblue is basically the same thing, but then with the GNOME desktop environment. So getting started, it will show me here how to set up FlatHub. FlatHub is the repository for Flatpaks that they recommend. So let's add this remote. Okay, so if I then Flatpak search OBS, I should be able to find OBS. Here we go. So now I have, I did find it, but let's just get the commands from the guide then. So cat Fedora bootstrap. So I will run this command that's going to install Obsidian, OBS, and Vivaldi, my favorite browser, from FlatHub. And while this is installing, can I use this? Yeah, I can use a new tab inside of this terminal, so that's nice. CD workstation bootstrap. I don't have tmux available here because I'm using the spin, and that does not come with any tooling installed. The next step is going to be to install a few packages that I need in order to authenticate to GitHub and everything. So while we are installing those Flatpak packages, I will do an RPM OS3 install. And what I'm installing here is Alacrity, a C compiler, and then GNU-PG2 SC daemon, which I need for my YubiKey to authenticate to GitHub and all of these other services. And usually this is not, you shouldn't be messing with the OS tree in these Atomic desktops. However, in this case, I needed to add these. And while I was at it, I just added tmux and zshell as well. Now, if this is going a little bit fast for you, I did do a complete installation guide when I was setting this up on my intermediary PC, where I go into a lot more detail about the distro choices that I made and what I'm basically doing. So this is going to be just a quick setup of this laptop, but if you want more guidance on this, check out the video that is linked somewhere in the screen now. Okay, so for some reason this took a lot longer than I thought. So for the record, I now waited for about 10 minutes for these packages to install. It must be very busy at FlatHub today. So for the record, that took 10 minutes. And let's start the counter of actually installing the system from now then. So now that these are installed and I have set up my OS3, I can now do a systemctl reboot to reboot my computer. And this is now going to load the new image with the new packages installed. So it's nice and snappy when booting this up. Cool. So we are back. And now I have to do a quick change of the default shell. So I will do sudo usermod --shell user bin zshell misha and do another systemctl reboot. All right, so now I should be able to open my terminal. And yes, now I get the new zshell configuration for new users. So I can quit that. So I'm now already running zshell. And before I continue, I'm now going to start OBS Studio. And let's see how easily we can configure this. So optimize for recording. I'll use the current for now. Let's see if this will work with the hardware encoder. Or just, I will just pick the software one for now. Yeah, it picks the software encoder. So I will quickly set this up by going to video and pick the resolution matching my screen here. I set this to 25 FPS, large file size, and the software encoder. So now I should be able to All right, so that is the state of desktop Linux where we are now. I can just set up my OBS, start recording in, what was that, 1 minute? So we are now officially recording on Fedora, so I can turn off this camera and continue from here. Now we can actually do the actual bootstrapping of the system. So I'll go to the bootstrap directory, and there is a setup script here. This is then going to set up my SSH key and everything, and then use my YubiKey to authenticate and do the rest. So I will insert my YubiKey, and this should now work. So if I just run setup now, this is now installing Mies to install all of the packages that I need. And before I continue, I just have to activate Mies one time manually. Mies doctor. Okay, so now Mies is activated. I can run the setup script again. Now Mies is installing Chemois and cloning all of my dot files, and this should then actually start activating my YubiKey pretty soon. So let's exit this and try again in Alacrity. Alacrity, here we go. Cool, so Chemois CD. Right, if I now run setup here, and exit this. Cool, so now we see this is my trusted environment with all of my custom fonts, my configuration. I have FCF, everything is now configured here. The next thing that I need to configure is my, let me see, is my editor working properly? So let's open up the Fedora Bootstrap MD again. This is now going to automatically configure LazyVim and everything. So my whole editor is now being configured exactly to my tastes, exactly as I like it, with all of my custom configuration. I have all of my shell tools all available right here on the machine. So the next thing we're going to be setting up is Podman. And for that, let us now open Tmux. Yes, here we go. So workstation bootstrap. Go. I'm now able to, I should be able to create these, enable the Podman socket. Okay, so then DevPod provider add Docker. Then we can try this command again, because then we're going to be pointing the Docker provider to Podman. So that is now done. And my Z shell RC is also already configured. So let's now see if I then can clone git clone git at github.com Misha Vandenberg home lab. And it's now correctly using my YubiKey straight out of the box. If I then change the container permissions, okay, Then I should now be able to run DevPod up. Let's do DevPod IDE use none. Okay, so if I now do DevPod up dot files github.com Misha Vandenberg dot files. This is now going to create a dev container, and in that dev container it's going to do exactly the same thing you saw me doing just now. It's going to set up the entire dev environment that I want to have available to me in every single project. So now I am running into an issue where, for some reason, Podman will not pull images that you specify in dev container Docker images. So if I just do Podman pull and then pull this latest, and I will pull that from the Docker registry. Cool. So before I start the dev container, let me just show you, like, if I run which kubectl on my host system, you will see that there's no kubectl installed on my system. But if I then run devpod up to create my dev container, it is now successfully creating it because we have pulled it, so that's good. It's setting up the container, and now you see that Mies is going to be setting up kubectl, it's downloading talosctl, it's setting up everything that I need to run this complete environment. Now it's asking me for my SSH key. I confirm it on my YubiKey. And again, it is cloning all of my .files repos. And now it's setting up my entire dev environment completely automatically. So if I now do devpod SSH and select the dev container, I am inside of this, and if I now type which kubectl, you see that it has installed kubectl. So what this means is that I have this portable environment that no matter what machine I am on, I always have all of the packages that I need in order to work on this project. And in this case, my home lab. Now, if this seems like a bit magic to you and you're thinking, wow, I would love to get this type of portable workflow as well, I have a complete 8-hour course inside of my community in KubeCraft. You can check it out in the link below. I think you will really like it. So we are now 10 minutes in, and I now have my portable container environment set up. I have my YubiKey set up so I can authenticate to GitHub. All of it done by running a few scripts and just setting up a few extra commands. I already have my graphical applications up and running. So I have OBS, I have Vivaldi, my favorite browser. It's also installed already. And all of this is done in less than 10 minutes. So far, so good. The only step that's left is to set up my Synology drive. And I can also do this via Flatpak. So let's check out if we can reach this. I'm not going to set up my sync in this video, but I will be using Vivaldi to sync all of my bookmarks here. But if I go to FlatHub and search here for Synology. Here's the Synology Drive client. I'm not sure if this is going to work because I'm not on my local network. I think I set it up so I can access it over the internet, but I will just try anyway. So here it's giving me the command to install the Synology Drive client. So let me go back to my terminal and exit my dev container here, because I'm now already completely productive. I can write code, I can build my systems, I can work with my home lab. The final thing is to sync all of my files to my workstation. Because you've heard me talk about this in other videos, but my dream, my goal is to have a stateless workstation. So I set this up in less than 10 minutes, this new laptop. But if this one now gets stolen, I need to be able to buy a new one and be up and running in 10 minutes again. And that is the whole goal of this whole workflow. where my files live on a remote, in this case, my Synology. All of my code and my dot files live in GitHub. And I have a list of graphical applications that I install using Flatpak. Cool, my Synology Drive client is installed. So let's see if we can get that up and running too. Oh, this is a very small font size, but let me see what I can do here. All right, it's asking me for my digit code, so give me a second. Cool, so now I can set up a sync task. So let's go to the next one. And what I'm going to get from my NAS is my file system that I call system 0. And I'm going to sync that to var home Misha. Okay, done. And here we go. My Synology drive is now syncing all of my important files that I've installed at home on my Synology NAS. It is now syncing all of that now to my system. So this is now syncing my files in the background. I have my files set up, my container workflow set up, and now I am ready to go. This is like, I'm in 15 minutes. I was able to completely reconstruct my system on a new system. And this is what I call the stateless workstation. So I've been using Fedora Atomic Cosmic for this. It works straight out of the box. And yeah, just wrapping up the feel of the framework here, like I'm really excited about this. Oh my goodness. Like the typing, it feels super smooth. I love the keyboard. Like I'm very surprised about this. It's not making any fan noise, even though it's syncing in the background. I'm recording my 4K screen and I'm using 3% CPU using the software encoder, and everything feels butter smooth. It has a premium feeling to it. And yeah, I am extremely, extremely satisfied with this and very, very happy with my choice here. So I highly recommend this machine. Now, everything you've seen me do on Linux is pretty advanced. This whole type of workflow and this whole setup, the architecture of the system is something that I do teach in KubeCraft, where I teach people to become six-figure DevOps engineers. If this is something that you aspire, if you want an autonomous life, a remote job making 6 figures a year, check out the link below. I think you might like it. And if not, I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.